Kia ora folks, so today I want to build myself a third hand, or a steady hand. This is something that's used when I'm welding. You've got your two plates sandwiched together, you need to hold them in place while you tack weld so they don't move. So what you do is you've got this heavy weighted hand that will press upon the two plates, squeezing them together, holding them tight enough where you get those tack welds in place. Now for my situation, I want this to be funky, it's going to be in all my videos, so why don't I make it look like a literal hand? Well, that'd be pretty cool. That's the plan. Yeah, let's see how I execute it. Anyway, let's grab some mild steel and start designing this. I just took the measurements of my hand in the closed fist position, took all the measurements, and here we go. It looks massive, but we'll address that later. Let's weld it together. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to shape it a little bit. I don't want to keep welding and keep building this up to this massive thing without doing a bit of shaping, because then you're just going to have to keep grinding more and more and more off. So I want to just kind of bounce between the two. Yeah, I'll probably go in with the cut-off wheel and just do a bit of cutting first, because that's obviously the fastest way to shape. Right, a whole bunch of MIG welding later. It's coming together fantastic, isn't it? We don't want to focus too much on details, just the, the main shape of the hand. Right, let's jump back outside. By the way, this rod, it has made a huge difference. It's so much easier to hold on in the vise and just manipulate. When this thing is red hot from welding, that is quite a nice thing to do. So what's been happening, I've been smoothing everything off with the 40 grit flap disc. It's been taking off much more material than I could have imagined. I've always gone and used a grinding disc and then gone up to a 120 to smooth it off, but the 40 grit has really impressed me, so I think I'm going to start using that more often. Also, I used a 40 grit flap disc in the die grinder to get into all the little crevices that I couldn't get with the grinder, so that's been helpful. Also, before I crack into it with smoothing it out with the 120 flap disc, make sure you are using a respirator if you're doing this kind of stuff. I'm just looking at my table, man, it is just covered in grinding dust. My neck is just all, it feels like sand, when you've been at the beach. That's what my whole back feels like. Imagine what your lungs would look like if you didn't have a respirator on. So make sure if you guys are doing any of this kind of work, make sure you do wear a respirator and do look after yourselves. PPE is genuinely important. Yes, I may look like I do a bit of cowboy stuff around here, but you still got to make sure you do look after yourself, guys. The biggest concern so far is this meaty part of the palm, just in here. I can't get to it with any tool. I'm thinking I'll just cut the thumb off, I'll get in there, clean all that area up with the flap discs, and then we'll come back, weld the thumb back on, and yeah, probably use TIG or something, so then you'll end up with a weld that you really don't have to clean up too much, because you can't really get in there with any tools in the first place. So that's kind of my thought process, and yeah, let's see how well that goes. Right, so we need to weld the thumb back on. We've done most of the roughing out slash blending. So we've gone through with the wire wheel, smoothed all the rough edges out. We still have to add all the fine details like the wrinkles, etc. But we need the thumb on to start doing all of that. Right, so weld the thumb on. Now I want to add a bit of extra spice, and that is going to be some of the veins on the back of my hand, just on the hand here, but I'm going to use silicon bronze because it's going to really stand out, and yeah, cross our fingers and hope that looks awesome. Also, I just want to play with silicon bronze. It very fascinates me. Right, let's give that a whirl. That was very difficult. Right, the hand has come out bloomin' gorgeous in my opinion. I have a confession though, guys. The silicon bronze on the back of the hand, I seem to have got confused between my silicon bronze and mild steel TIG rod, and this bottom section is mild steel. So, whoops. Anyway, all the knuckles and stuff to get those nice aged, you know, the all creases and stuff. I used the grinder with a thin cutoff disc. I found that much easier than the die grinder. Die grinder just didn't have the control I needed. We need to start making this functional. That means we need to add some silicon bronze to the tip. The reason we want to do that as well is if we left it as is, it would weld itself to the steel that we're working on. You know, this is probably going to act as a ground, and we don't want to be ruining or marring the steel that we're welding together. So that's why we're going to add silicon bronze there. And then we need to add something out the back to give it, you know, the stability to actually function as is. Right, these two are the silicon bronze. We're not going to get confused now, are we? Because I've put the mild steel to the side. That has worked fabulous. I reckon I could bump down a few amps too. Maybe go down to maybe 70, 65 maybe. That is... yeah, definitely need to go down. I've obviously overheated this, but that wetted out very chuffed. This is exactly the experience I was kind of hoping, just without the hour of practicing before this. Right, everything's chalked up, shimmed and square, so I'm pretty happy with the positioning. I just need to join them. Now I'm going to braze them again. I'm really enjoying it. I want to get quite proficient at it, so I'm going to practice. We're just joining the two parts together now. If it looks a bit messy, that is because this is the third time doing it. The balance point is hard to find, and then I didn't mock it up properly the second time, and it fell apart, and so third time's the charm. Right, let's see if this works. I've got myself a whole bunch of stainless steel brackets I need to weld together, but because they're plasma cut and there's a bit of kerf, they don't line up perfectly, so I can't just tack weld them freehand, because that's what I would do, but because of the loose tolerances, I do need to add a spot of filler just to get the puddle started properly, and then I can work my way along. And that's it. How bloomin' easy was that? The third hand. How's it performed? Pretty damn amazing actually. I've used it for a week and a half now. I've used 2 bottles of argon, and yet this is still the first tool I would grab every time I TIG welded. It was just that useful. It's nice and easy to use, nice to hold, as well as it's quite funny to look at. So they're the main things about it. The biggest hidden gem is that fingertip. Made out of silicon bronze. You know, the main reason was for a good grounding, and so it didn't ruin the steel if it was too short. But it's softer than everything I was working with, so when I had all that brushed, finished stainless steel I was working on, this didn't scratch it up, didn't ruin it, especially when I was sliding it around. This was perfectly fine, and I really didn't think of that, but now once I was doing all the work, how amazing is that? So definitely a hidden gem, definitely recommend doing that. It has really made this a functional tool. Outside of that, the making of this was super enjoyable. I have already started planning another build. I want a hand like coming out the bench, and then it's like pinching a candle, so it's like it's just a candle holder but made like this. I thought that'd be pretty cool. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, everyone. I really do appreciate it, and I'll catch you around. That's it. See, but I just don't want him to be in here while I'm working, and his little paws and then swarf on the ground, so hold on. Here he is, by the way.